Hi, welcome to the Stockinit Zombies. I'm Amy, also known as Jane Itma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It. And this is episode 33, June 11th, right?
Yep.
12th. What?
Yeah. No, it's the 12th. Monday was the 11th.
Okay, yes, today is the 12th. Tomorrow's the 13th. And this is all very exciting for you that watch like a month behind.
Well, and it also feels like, that Friday song, the dumb song, where you're like, yesterday was the 11th, today's the 12th, tomorrow's the 13th. Duh.
Yes, today was, tomorrow, yesterday, type of thing. And we have a lot of odds and ends, and we're going to do a review.
Hey.
Yeah. I think that has been a gap in our podcast thus far. I mean, I appreciate when other people bring out patterns, even if I've already looked at them, just because they're unique perspective on them.
Mm-hmm.
And a large part of what I enjoy about our craft and about Ravelry is like I go out there every day and I look at the top 20 patterns. I always look at the top 20 patterns on Ravelry every day. It's like one of my OCD things. Like, I gotta see, because I want to see, like when Laura releases her socks on a plane, whether or not that made the top 20. And color affection is consistently up there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering when you're gonna cast yours on, because everybody has one on the needles.
Well, my problem with it is that, so I picked out my 3 colors. And I really like them, but 2 of them are a silk merino blend, and one of them's just 100% merino, and it doesn't have that shine to it that the silk merino blends have. And I'm just like really hemming and hawing. What I'm gonna end up doing is just ordering another skein of 3 Irish Girls in the McLean base. But I'd have to order it directly through 3 Irish Girls, I think, unless somebody wants to link me to someone who sells McLean, and I can just go out there.
I don't think the Luke Hugh does.
Yeah, and I don't know of other places online that sell 3 Irish Girls. I mean, I know plenty of places in town that are in the cities that sell it, and I could probably call them and ask them if they have a McLean base, but it's not that popular. And actually, now that I think of it, that's probably, I don't even know if that's a silk. It might be a bamboo, but it's something shiny, and it matches what I have at home. I don't know what I have at home. Yeah. I take it back.
I would, if I were you, I would either go for all the same, right, to get your 3rd skein of McLean, or take one of the shinies out and add in a 3rd to that, because a lot of the color affection is about the contrasting, right? Mm-hmm. So if it wasn't all matchy-matchy but if you did have 2, that 3rd one would stick out, I think.
Yeah.
To me, anyway.
And I also need to get out there because one of mine is semi-variegated, and I want to see if anybody or a lot of people have done semi-variegated yarn. I mean, it's all in the same color palette, but it is, like there's purples, pinks, and blues in the one skein, and I'm like, oh, how's that going to look with the color changes and stuff? Again, I'm getting overcomplicated with my choices and all that.
Thinking it?
Yes, I am. Because they are beautiful together, and I'm sure that it would turn out wonderful. Every time I think about balling up those skeins, I look at that one that's an oddball, and I think, oh, because, it's a Woomies, so it's not as fluffy. There's just so many things about it that they're different, that I'm thinking, oh, it's just not going to look nice.
Yeah.
Or it's going to bug me, It'll look wonderful and everybody will love it, but it's going to bug me.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Okay, so some other things. We've got our, this is the
new and improved
tote bag.
Here's the prototype, just in case you were
So it's
curious.
bigger, and centered down a little bit more. And they're selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Shannon is busily accepting orders until the 25th, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. The 11th,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
2 weeks from yesterday. So, again, that doesn't provide a heck of a lot of context for people that aren't watching them, the day after that we record them. But, so yeah, it's $8, because we like our hoe bags cheap, and they and $2 for domestic shipping. And there may or may not be a little extra something in there if you haven't gotten a little extra something in the past. So, yeah, those again will be on sale for a little under 2 weeks now. And don't know when we'll be doing another run, so get it now if you can swing the $10. We priced them so that they would be accessible, hopefully, to most. And that is the whole bags. We have a drawing for our 1,000-member Palooza.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting.
Yes, lots of great jokes. Yep, lots of good memories. I didn't remember some of the memories that people remembered for us.
Yeah.
So let's go. Always.
So on the t-shirt drawing, we had 98 entries.
98 entries.
And Megan's the first one, so we're going to go ahead and bring up that giant
2 through 98. And I zeroed it out.
Yes.
Which they didn't provide a button for if you are the person who did this application. So, you got a pretty good fighting chance here if you wanted a t-shirt.
23!
An early person. That is good. So, 23 would be on the first page. And we're on the shirt. Shoot, I clicked who instead of 1. And 23 is down at the bottom. And it is Beagle Mom Knitter. She was just down on Flirt telling me how cute my kid was, so that's some good karma for you.
Compliment the host children.
Yes.
And the luck will go your way.
Angela in Virginia. And she said, one zombie says to another, the last time I was in this place, I left with a killer headache. That was a funny one. So, Beagle Mom Knitter, can you please contact, let's just go with moi. And with your preferred size, we've got small through 3X. And then once we have an idea of how many, or 2X, sorry, 2XL, not 3X, of what we've got left, we can go forward with any future ones. And then the much coveted, Knitting's My Bag. It's the black one. I didn't grab it, of course.
I don't have the black one either.
Yep, the black zombie bag that's in the black fabric that's on my little pouch here.
Yeah.
In a medium, and Lois did a wonderful job on that. And there's 238 voices. I'm like going like this so that I can make it bigger. My what is that? Minority Report. Virtual screen isn't working. 238. So again, huge random number.
That was in another movie recently. Oh, The Avengers. Like where they did that thing where they threw it up onto, from the little pad up to a screen that was in front of them, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
These things used to be science fiction, so I will get that someday.
Yep. So we've got the old number here.
Yes, you can see the old number.
2 through
23.
And I'll hit generate. Ooh.
Teasing. Hey, a late entry.
216.
216.
All right.
This will be a fun.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm 216.
Yeah. Are we on the right page now? No. When we're back.
Yeah.
Page 9. We're professionals,
We are. I do this for Dingle Daisy. That lady. That Eloise.
No, was it
216, I thought you said. Goodness.
We apologize.
Yeah. Amy and I are not so good.
Yeah.
216.
216.
Not so good with the memories here. So Dingle Daisy, my favorite moment was Megan getting into SSK. So it was just last week. And she's going to see us there. I was just on a VKN with Lala, and she said Dingle Daisy is at a Postmasters conference.
Oh.
So.
Wow.
She knows Laura well enough to be to be telling her where she is at any given time. So, Dingle Daisy, you can go ahead and just contact me too. I'll run to the post office and send both of those out. And what was her favorite? Oh, it was the SSK.
Yeah. So we had a lot of people talk about Mayo 1.
Yeah. It's a busy time of night if you didn't know.
To be life flighted to
yeah. We had a lot of folks saying that they liked our hoe bag terminology and some of the great past moments, funny moments, and so Amy and I have been going back and watching the old
episodes,
where
those things happened.
Yep, and so it was funny. Like you pointed out to me when it was episode 8, when the hoe bag thing came about, and
not hoe bag.
Oh, you're right.
Hoe.
Sorry, yeah. Just the hoe. And then it eventually became hoe bag. But yeah, the hoe came about because Kismet had contacted me and said, there's the FO, and then there's the, what are the other, like whips, and then there's like UFOs, and what are other ones? Anyway, she was wouldn't it be funny to start calling them half O's? And I was thinking naughty. I was like thinking the O face, and and so then you saw it very organically happen in the show where Amy like took it a different way and said, actually, if you hack off that, and make it a H-O, H-O instead of a half O, that it's, and then the hoe came about. And so, it took a lot of minds to do that. So thanks to Kismet for giving us the original inspiration of the half-O.
Yes.
And then how it melded into the hoe that we all know and love now.
Yeah, and all because I was lamenting that I didn't have a finished object that week.
Yeah.
And Megan was like, mark it on your calendars. And she was giving me so much grief for not having one. But then I was like, during my whip segment, I have a slipper sock thing.
Yeah.
I have one thing, and it is finished.
And I give you a hard time because it's not really finished. It's a half finished object.
Now
it's
we have a reason.
Yes.
But I also went back and watched the rat tail hat. So where you put the envelope on your head and had the rat tail.
Your reaction, I don't even look at me when I'm doing that. I look at your face, and you are about peeing your pants.
I was laughing pretty hard.
Yeah.
And then another one that somebody brought up that really tickled me was when brain fart. So you put on the hat,
the tickled. It really tickled you. Must have forgotten now that we were talking about the rat tail hat.
Yeah, it left my brain. Boom, that happens.
When I put on the ski mask? No.
No. Oh, when you were trying to gnaw your yarn in half.
It was like episode 2.
I was oblivious.
It was acrylic, and I'm sitting here going.
I had no idea what she was doing over there. I'm just blah, 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 blah. So I went back and I watched it. Yeah, it's like you're like this thing in the background that, you should be paying attention to me, but this thing over here is way more entertaining. And I'm just going blah, blah, blah. When I finally realized what you're doing, I'm like, do you need scissors?
And I almost hit you as I was trying to, Yep, the good old days. But even then, watching it, it's like how different we were just in the last, how we've changed.
No. Wearing warmer clothes, for one.
Yeah.
It's like, look at all the sweaters.
All right, what else? Hoe bags. Oh, we've got something very exciting, and I wanted to get it out there in case people were still buying for their Camp Loopy Project 2. We have decided that in July and August, our KAL is going to be the Gemini pattern by Jane Richmond. Preparation is key.
It's in the Knitty.
Yes, it's a Knitty pattern.
It's free.
It's free. It's available in a large amount of sizes, and there are a great deal of finished objects out there, which kind of were our main criteria. And it's also a summery tee. And so that's going to be our next KAL. I bought my Cascade Ultra Pima cotton today to make it. It has to be 800 yards, so mine's going to be a dress. And there's a great modification out there of a gal who made a dress out of it. So stay tuned for my cotton dress that's going to be sagging down to the ground. But
it's going to be a maxi dress by the end of summer.
Starts out as the little,
mini skirt
tunic type thing.
Oh, there you go. Tunic to mini dress to knee length to maxi dress.
Yes.
By the end of summer.
But I mean, if you're going to have something sag, you might as well have it be a dress.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Mm-hmm.
I won't argue with extra length on a dress. So that is exciting. I wish I had the pattern to hold up, but we'll link it in the show notes, and you can go take a look at it. It's got some interesting like lace here, and then it just goes down into a T, and it's top down, which met my criteria.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't necessarily an Amy criteria, but it was a Megan criteria. And I enjoyed the Tupal KAL, which we'll probably draw for after we get back from SSK. We'll lock it in June, but we'll draw for it when we get back. Did I say when I get back or when we get back? I feel like I said
we. I don't know.
The royal we. Yeah, we felt like we were missing some of the camaraderie. Like if we're not all knitting the same pattern and we're all just kind of randomly scattered about doing different things. It's cool because you get to learn about different patterns. Like, oh, this person is doing this with 2 balls of yarn. But there's less camaraderie. So we're hoping that one pattern.
And we toyed with like shawl or sock or whatever, and it was like, no, a lot of people, in that thread where they were reminiscing about, their favorite moments, they liked the progression of sweaters. They thought that, we were enabling / encouraging people to do sweaters. Apparently we're so fast and efficient at it that they feel like, I can do that. If those girls can do that, I can do that.
Those hacks can do that.
Exactly.
And then, with the Shalom, I feel like there were quite a few people that that was the first time that there were a fair share of seasoned veterans as well, but summer tees are really nice because you don't have the sleeves.
Yeah. Don't have to have the sleeves, yeah.
So yeah, that's all of our odds and ends for now. I don't have anything else that I want to say. Maxie's giving me some love.
Yeah, he was licking my toes earlier. If I made a face, it's because I had a cat licking my toes.
If she made the O face.
No.
Oh, Max. Sorry. That's just where my mind went because we were talking about that earlier. You guys will find out if you ever meet me that my sense of humor is just a little bit off. All right. Yep. You want to go? I'm wearing a FO.
Go ahead.
This is my Cara pullover by the amazing. I'm gonna have to take a drink. Amanda Bell. It is knit out of Lorna's Laces Sport Mate, which has Outlast in it. And I was telling Amy, and she made me promise that I would mention this on air, that when I was knitting it, I would take it off of my lap, and my lap would be kind of cool, because it's supposed to bring, heat out or hold heat in, depending on, the differential, right? If it's colder out here, I think it holds the heat in against you, and if you're warm, I think it kind of pulls it out. And so anyway, I'd pick it up off my lap, and I noticed that my lap was cool, because it's been warm lately, and I would touch it, and it was a little disconcerting. Like my knitting was like pre-warmed. It was kind of like, she's laughing already, sitting on like a toilet seat and having it be warm already, like somebody had already been there right before you. And I don't know, I mean, it's nice, and I really like it, and it, it washed up great. My Madelinetoshes shed a lot when I washed them. So like I just went through a whole month where I was basically doing nothing but Madelinetosh. And this didn't shed hardly at all. It didn't get real fuzzy. The only modifications that I could think of that I did that aren't like per the pattern, but you could basically, infer from the pattern, is I'm horrible about sewing things on.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely horrific. Like if I had sewn this on, it would be like, half of it would be on a quarter and then the rest of it would be stretched out, and then I'd hem and haw about it and I'd tear it out and I'd do the exact same thing over again. Mm-hmm. I'm just horrible with sewing on. Like knitting is good for me because it's metered, right? Like one length of yarn over a needle keeps things nice and even, and I can adjust that and it's counting. Sewing for me is just kind of like a free-form art. I'm not good at it. So what I ended up doing is I picked up all the stitches across from one fake seam to the other fake seam. I picked up all of the stitches without knitting. So I picked up without knitting all of the stitches across. I did the bottom first, the bottom of the pocket, and I counted how many stitches I picked up. I took the first number, which was the width across, minus the shorter number, which is the pocket, divided by 2, dropped that amount of stitches off of what I picked up on the bottom, so that centered it. That's the other thing. It would have ended up like my pocket would have been like over here. Yeah. Which this has the fake seam, so it wouldn't have been as bad, but I would notice. I would be like, it's not centered right. And so anyway, after I had all those stitches picked up and I had it centered, I just then did a 3 needle bind off on the inside, the pocket inside, mm-hmm. which is a nice option when you've got something that's, you're never going to see the inside of the pocket unless I go like this with it. So and then repeated for the top, which was a little more tricky because I was doing it like this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, at that point I wasn't wearing it, so it was easier to stretch. But yeah, I thought that was it. I now know that it is perfectly centered. I now know that you can't tell, really. I mean,
her OCD is benefiting all of you.
Yeah, and Amanda you probably can do that, whip it out and whatever. But I'm not able to do that. So I just yeah. That is wonderful. And then you guys never got to see a work in progress on this, which is like, not as per my usual, because I normally have something on the needles at least.
Although you're making me feel bad because my loopy stuff is not close to being done.
So this is, I'm calling it the smaller on the outside. It's the bigger on the inside shawl. My loopy swap partner is a Whovian. She likes the Doctor Who series, and it's written for fingering, and I made it out of pashmina. You might recognize it from the Delancey. I had basically a whole ball left over.
Oh, okay.
And so I did some math, which was really fun. Like the math geekery on this, just like, mm-hmm. It was fun to me because you knit it from, and this is free on Knitty. It's by, where is her name? Bigger on the inside, Kate Atherley. But you knit this time vortex lace. You start out down here with 1 stitch and end up coming down, increasing to the middle and then decreasing over here. And then you pick up all of these stitches. I see all the
math happening. Yeah.
Yep. So I cut out 4 TARDISes. So I had to figure out how many of the repeats in the time vortex to do. So I had to reverse engineer it, basically. Sorry. I had to see how many stitches they were allowing for to pick up on the edge per mm-hmm. number of rows, and then go, well, if I want there only to be 11 TARDISes, then, anyway, I had a spreadsheet. It was great fun. I was like, ooh, squee. And then the pattern doesn't call for, it calls for quite a bit of rib border. But I kind of like it. It's kind of incognito. Mm-hmm. The TARDISes look kind of like the edging now. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't want it to be called out that you're a Doctor Who and that you want, the TARDIS is glaring at you, then
it might be more fun if somebody just looks at the edging and go, that kind of looks like a TARDIS. And then you can spot the other Whovian in the crowd.
It was like in the Bible when they said that, this stuck from me from Sunday school, where they would like draw a fish in the sand. to see whether or not the other person was a Christian in the Bible. I don't know. Somebody out there probably knows the exact Bible verse. But my swap partner is also from a very warm climate, so I didn't want like a huge shawl, and I think this is a really nice scarf. So all my modifications are out on my Ravelry board, or my Ravelry project page, and it turned out great. I like the color. This is cobalt, if you're interested. Although Lorna's Laces has a, not Sport Mate, but their, the other one, the smaller one. No, the smaller, the fingering weight of the same thing.
Oh, Soulmate.
Soulmate, that's right. Brain fart. The Soulmate in a specific Doctor Who colorway. I think it's called Bigger on the inside, but yeah, that was a fun, quick knit. Really enjoyed the little vortex lace in there, and then seeing the TARDISes come about. And there was actually a bobble, and I didn't mind.
Oh, okay. A little bobble at the top.
A little bobble at the top of the TARDIS. And so that, yep, that is that. FOs. Check.
Done. Okay.
2 FOs. Do a little party dance for me, because normally I only have my one sweater. So, okay.
Oh gosh, one sweater? Is that all?
I'm just saying that I have the, I have the quantity this week.
Oh, okay. I have a done knitting, not done zombie. Isn't she cute?
I love those colors.
She needs eyeballs. I'm just going to put little X's on them. Maybe I'd mentioned that before, but yeah.
Gotta go down. Arms on there, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's why I called her done. It's because, arms. I just have to sew the little eyeballs on. Probably glue them out.
So she would be like a faceless monster object, an FMO. If we're making up acronyms as we go. Yeah.
She could just be a faceless zombie monster.
Oh, yeah. Another zombie could have eaten her face off.
There you go.
Backstory.
Yeah. My zombie has a backstory.
Well, that's always important. My favorite on like Project Runway, when they're like on the runway, and they're like, if you have to explain it for like 10 minutes, like how this fits into the challenge, then it's obviously not.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
See, now you said backstory, and my brain went to Phineas and Ferb. Because Dr. Doofenshmirtz has to have a backstory. You're not even backstory worthy. What am I even telling you this for?
I really like how that black and white, the white really pops out.
So this is my 60% merino, 40% bamboo, and it's at least an Aran weight, if not a bulky weight yarn. And it's a 3-ply. I tried to Navajo ply the remaining single. It was a mess. So I threw it away.
Really hard. Just something you have to practice.
Yes, I think it's just different, and you have to practice. I think that regular plying is, if you know how to spin, you can ply. I mean, it seems very easy, whereas Navajo plying takes kind of a separate, like, move. You have to get in the groove, and I could not, to save my life.
Groove is in the heart. Groove is in the heart. Okay, sorry. We always have to have our musical moments. Amy and I are very musical.
Delight.
Yes.
This is one.
This is fantastico. I love this.
Yes, this is my alpaca.
It's very soft.
So the roving that I got was half black, half white, and I spun those singles together. So each individual strand had some barber pulling in it, and then I plied them together. So it's just a 2-ply, and this is washed and thwacked, so it's got a lot.
What did you use to, wash it? It smells really good. I like this one.
Gosh, I don't remember what I used for this. Probably soap, but if not, it was just, God, I don't know.
I liked the smell.
Yeah.
My alpaca is very stinky normally.
So I'm going to lean forward here so you can see. This is what I got for plies. I don't know what I would call this, DK.
Yeah.
It's kind of fuzzy, so it might, knit up a worsted weight as well.
So when I knit with the yarn and then I wash the garment and it blooms, it gets bigger. Is yours like pre-bloomed?
Well, this is definitely bloomed from when it came off, before it got bathed. When it got bathed,
but it won't like re-bloom after you knit it and wash it again, right?
I'm not an expert at knitting hand spun yet.
Okay.
I mean, I have a lot of hand spun. I haven't knit much with it. I mean, the one that I've knit with is like the worst hand spun to knit with, right? It's my first one. It's all coily and gross. This stuff will be a pleasure. So this one was 60 yards, and I think this one is like 120 plus an additional 18. So, if I get down to the last bits, I have extra.
Yeah. And you measured that on your DIY knitting on
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm. So these, I left them tied off in the 2-yard skein loops, so that I can count them again. It's fresh in my memory what these are, but I want to tag them before I put them away so that I know. Because, a year from now, I'm not going to remember that this was a bamboo merino bamboo blend that got, X amount of yardage. So I need to tag them.
Start a habit of flagging them or logging them, in Ravelry, right?
I suppose that might be a good use for stash. I don't want to go through all of my stash and put it on Ravelry, but maybe my hand spun. It's small enough. I can.
It is coming in slowly enough, right?
Yes,
where it would be like,
it's not like buying it where it's, just
that is
the pile.
Yeah. Although I have found that that's been a good deterrent for me to buying things like, then I'm gonna have to add that to my Ravelry stash page.
That wouldn't be a big enough deterrent for me. Just buy it and get behind and actually doing the updating.
Yeah.
But I have a million whips, so I'll let you talk about yours. And then...
All right. The Sexy Knitter, Sarah Wilson, is doing a Fantastico. Let's see if I can get... well, this is a very small shot. Knit along, ending at the end of June here. There's the front of it. It's the Worth Avenue cardigan. It's a nice little, almost like kimono style. It's very boxy, boxy kind of belled out sleeves. And I'm doing it out of Anzula Breeze, which is a lace weight. And it is linen and silk, more silk than linen, but I am loving the drape. So there's two things that I want to get this done by the end of June, because I want to wear it at SSK and I want to get it in for this KAL, which has fantastic prizes.
They're insane, and there probably aren't going to be that many people that enter and finish.
Yeah, so there's like 8 sweaters quantities worth of yarn, which is like to me, because like I love winning the single skeins of yarn, but they aren't as exciting to me as like, I think Tosh Balaz won a sweater's worth of yarn recently. I saw out in, I think it was a part of Madeline and Tosh May.
Okay.
And I was like, ooh, covet, like even Ooh Fancy Pants winning every single base that Mr. Yarn won. That wasn't as exciting to me as if I could have gotten like a sweater's quantity of just one of them, right? So anyway, the Anzula Breeze is working up wonderfully. I'm just doing the lace weight on the 6s, so it's very light and breezy. I hopefully will be able to wear it to SSK and not be a sweaty hot mess, and actually be wearing a hand knit item. Although I'm thinking now with air conditioning, I normally get pretty cold with air conditioning, that
shawls will be our friend.
Shawls, or a light, like a wispy, something.
Yep.
My wispy cardigan, but very unique construction. I kind of did, because I always modify patterns. I don't know why. I don't just knit them as they are, but it called for you to provisionally cast on, and then later use those and work the front, and I just didn't, because it was like futzy with lace weight to try to provisionally cast on And I think it's going to be fine. You're going to have a seam there where the shoulder meets.
Which sometimes adds good structure to a garment.
Yeah, so. And you can't really notice it. And then it was going to call for you to immediately bind off here in the back. And I don't feel like, I mean, it is a paid pattern. It's part of that knit seam that the Carcara is out of. But yeah, so then you would provisionally have casted on these stitches and immediately bound them off.
You know, that's something I've probably never done, is that you're doing 2 sweaters out of the same magazine.
Yeah.
Like, how many times I've bought magazines, not knit anything out of them, or I knit 1 or 2 smaller things, but like, to be able to knit 2 sweaters out of 1 magazine, that's money well spent.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I'm kind of in a summery kick right now. Okay. So they're both summery sweaters, and once I get done with this little top portion here, I'll be joining for the armholes and moving on down. And then the interesting little lace details here, I'm looking forward to those. This is a lot of stocking knit, not in the round at least, so I get that purl row. Oh, that was my other thing about my bigger on the inside. I wanted to mention, I think it's my first true lace, because there wasn't any rest rows.
Oh, okay.
You turned around and you did something different on each row with the TARDISes.
Okay.
So, look at me. Knitting milestone. Mark it down. All right. Parade o' Whips.
Parade o' Whips. Yes. So this is my Peggy Sue. It is... Yeah, it's getting a little bit more love. I finally put it out on my projects page so we can linky.
Did you decide what to do about those futzy cables?
No. I'm going to knit them, and we'll see if I want to tear my hair out by the end. So it seems really small, but what I had decided I had done was I had started with the size smaller cast on without realizing it. But I kind of like that it's going to be a nice high collar, because it's a 50s style garment anyway, so it'd be a nice high collar with the buttons down the front. And then
so now you just ended up increasing more, so the length of the yoke is going to be
but I'll just end up increasing more down here. And I am not anywhere near. I think that I still have at least 10 more increased rows to go on this one.
And that's with your cotton?
Yes, this is the Pima Cotton Silk from Misty Alpaca, and I cannot say enough about this yarn. In that it's a pleasure to knit with, and I love the fabric. It does fuzz up quite a bit, but I've never minded that look. I mean, it just gives it that nice little fuzzy. It's not like it pills or anything. It's just this all over fuzzy garment. After you've worn it and washed it a couple times. And again, I can say that because I've knit my daughter a dress out of it, and I've washed that thing like crazy, and it looks great. I haven't even babied it. I've just been throwing it in with her regular clothes, and it comes out wonderful. Again, it gets a little fuzzier each time it comes out of the washing machine. At least initially I think that, but then once I pull it out of her closet again, I'm like, oh, what was I complaining about, or what was I thinking? It looks fine. It looks great. So I've been really enjoying this yarn, and the cheapest place I've found to buy it is Eat Sleep Knit. Shh, I was gonna try to get some. It's not the only place to get it. It's just the cheapest place.
Yeah, she's by far the cheapest. I don't know if she's trying to get rid of it. Like, she's not going to restock it, or...
I don't know. And if she watches this and goes, oh crap, and raises her prices, I'm sorry. But, yeah, it's went up in price a couple different places, and my local yarn shop has it at like 30% higher than she does. Like,
does the Loop U doesn't even have it? Cause
no, they don't sell it.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
No, they don't sell it.
I may have bought that for the Gemini instead of the Cascade 100%, because I kind of like the silk in there with it. Yeah. Gives it a nice drape, although it's probably a little warmer with the silk in there, right?
Yeah.
So, anywho.
And then, so that's one. And then
do you want me to keep track over here?
No, but I do have a lot.
One whip.
So here's my sock for my loopy partner.
It's a very pretty colorway.
I have, it's Chewy Spaghetti from Loopy U's Archives. They don't sell it anymore. I've made things for my daughter with the skein that I had. And then this one, I can't remember what the name of it is.
It looks kind of like Neapolitan or chocolate cherry or...
Yeah, it's something like that, I think. Chocolate cherry or strawberry something. Or maybe just called Decadence, or I don't know. But it's Chewy Spaghetti, which was Indie Dyer that she had in the early days. And it's knitting up really fun. I like how it's been striping up here. And then it's flashing down here around the gusset. But I'm going to get back down. This is the Diamonds in the Fluff.
Okay.
It's free. And it's a slip stitch pattern. So I do have 80 stitches on here. And it doesn't quite fit me.
You said you wanted me to try it on.
Yeah, it does. You know, I bet I could stretch it on, but it's not an easy fit for me. And with 80 stitches, it should be too big. So all of these slip stitches have pretty much have been taken out, and it's more like a 60 count or 62 count.
Yeah.
Around. Anyway, so it's a lot of moving of stitches around. But I like the effect, and I'm going to keep working hard on these. I got to get them done by the end of the month, and this is only sock 1. But it's mostly been bus and car knitting, so if it comes down to plain knitting at the end of the month, I guess it'll just have to be plain knitting on the end of the month. She knows that I am going off to some retreat, and I don't know if she's up on SSK or even our podcast. And that her package may be a little bit late. Because I wanted to try and shop some goodies for her in person at this retreat. And she thought that was an awesome idea. And my fallback is something that I mentioned to her, and she squeed. So I'm like, all right, if I end up failing, I can just order that skein.
Yarn that's variegated like that, and even self-striping yarn looks really nice when you're doing anything like slipping or knitting two together.
It breaks it up. Yeah. So this is my stash busting vintage sweater. So this is another vintage style sweater.
You're old school, man.
I am. I'm old school in it this month.
So this is 3. Blah,
yeah, 3. So I got done this. It's starting back up with the pink again, up at the top. So I'll repeat these stripes here right after. So this is pretty much the color block that it's going to be.
Are you weaving in the ends as you go, or no? You're just on the other side of the 2-row.
They're all here, and they are a one side and back, so they're all up on one end. And this will be, it's a pullover, so they'll all be put into the seam. So I haven't decided what to do with them. I've just been tying them to keep them out of my way.
It's the wrong side, but you're going to get the right side.
Well, yeah, I know. I showed them the right side.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was too busy asking you about your weaving in the ends.
But this is my stash buster, because I had all these colors in my stash and I wasn't doing anything with them, and I just had enough to make something, and I was like, oh, stripy sweater, and I toyed with the Tempest and all these other ones, and this was the one that struck me as the winner, I guess.
If you had shown me those 3 colors separately and asked me if they'd go good together, I would have been like, not so much, but they look good together. You swatched, right?
Well, I swatched these don't work, and then I swapped out one color. And I moved I had the blue into the white position, so there's a white right here. Into the white position, and then and this was some sort of variegated in here, and it just looked like a pile of crap. I mean, it was really bad. So so I moved the blue to the bigger section, and then I took white in there, and then the white with the pink is just kind of a subtle in between. So the teal is kind of my off color, pop of color, because everything else seems like it could be in a gradient, right? We have maroon to pink to white, and then the teal is like bam.
I like it.
So yeah, and I think it fits with the vintage feel of it. You know, it's modern-ish colors. You know, it's not like I made it a brown orange. You know,
Yeah.
like those,
smack you in the face.
yeah, like, oh, look at me, I'm from the 70s, you know. So, I thought that was a neat use of stash. I finally got to the point where I can take my sleeves off the olive. So I have less knitting going around and around, and you can see them rolling up here in the corners. And so, yeah, just a whole miles and miles of garter or stocking it all the way down until the end. So,
where you do a little bit of garter color.
This is probably why the startitis happened, is because I finally got the sleeves off, and then enough, like 3 rounds, and then went, okay, putting that down. Time to move on. And that's all that's really active.
That's fit to be mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I have all the other ones. I haven't touched the linen. I'm still working on my mojo for the test knit.
Eiffel Tower, dinner at the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, dinner at the Eiffel Tower. And I every time I pull out I want to work on it because I like the colors of the yarn. This is I think it's the fuchsia color for Dream in Color fuchsia something. And I really like it. And I'm excited to knit with it, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess I right now I feel like I am doing mindless stuff, right? Like this pattern looks pretty complicated, but it's only two repeats that you really need to think about, and it's just yarn overs.
Yeah.
You know, and knit 2 togethers. It's not rocket science. It's fine. Whereas this one, every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to sit down with the pattern, and because it's a test knit, 1, and 2, it just, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to actually sit down and read the pattern while I'm knitting, and I just haven't been in the mood, I guess. But probably something that will get progress before next week, because I'll at least want the next lace round of it to be started. So we have a review, and we're 40-some minutes in. So.
Yeah, well, we could just mention the patterns that we wanted to talk about. So Knitty came out with a new, it's the fall issue, fall 2012 issue. And I asked Amy, I was like, have you ever watched a podcast where they've actually reviewed the patterns from Knitty? I mean, they're free, so people get really excited about them and go out and look at them. And
I mean, maybe the Knit Girls have done it in the past. I mean,
I couldn't think of one. So.
Well, I haven't been watching the whole time they've been recording.
Yeah.
They've been recording for 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Knitty is a really great, if you don't know about it, a really great resource out there. If you're out on Ravelry, you've probably seen a free Knitty pattern. But they come out with, I don't know, like at least 6 issues a year. So, right, like there's spring, summer, fall, winter, and then there's like a second spring, or like
it used to be only 4 times a year, I think.
Okay.
I mean, at least it felt that way. You're waiting forever for the next new Knitty to come out. But
so the patterns that I wanted to mention, and I don't have to be careful about covering things up because they're free.
Yeah.
The longitudinal socks. I'd be really interested to give them a try. I really enjoyed the SKUs, which are a
different construction.
A different construction, and these obviously look like they're, if you follow the stripes, they're knit back and forth on the foot rather than around. And it looks like, and there's different foot lengths and different foot circumferences. Really that exciting for you, huh?
Sorry. Long day.
And they look visually interesting to me. I can't say that, obviously that there hasn't been a great deal of them out there to look, but there's probably some sort of Kitchener involved. And kind of reminiscent to me of like last issue, there was the carousel, I think, where you knitted around your foot, and there was that line where you...
Well, there is a sideways knit sock pattern out there, and maybe it was in knitting. That a lot of people did knit. Again, and I am blanking on what it looked like or what it was called, but
the other one that I wanted to, I guess I had three. The other one of the three that I was, this one was by Julia Wabersek. Webersek? Right here, sorry.
That's the
model. The model. Oh.
What's up here?
Nicola Susan. I just got off of, Amy walked in the VCAN with some southern folks. I feel like I'm drawing a little bit. I had a weak ear. Was the Gentle Teresa. And I guess I must have done the one where you can't see real well the photo. But it's a vest, so it's a sweater with removed a lot of the things that I don't like about knitting sweaters is the sleeves. And it's got a unique shape, kind of that bowed out. And then I think I told you a shawl collar, which was, I like shawl collars. I would probably remove, there's cables on the side, and then there's a big like horseshoe cable in the center, and I think I would probably just remove that. I guess there's lace, and then there's a big horseshoe cable in the center. I would do the lace outside and leave the center solid. I don't know. That's just my aesthetic. That, and I changed all the patterns that I did. And then the third one was in leaf, which is a cardigan. Some garter stitch down here, and then a very pretty, again, I probably didn't print the leaf pattern up top on the yoke. But kind of a la the Shalom.
Did you mention
The three.
the designer?
Designer of this was Jean Chung. Jean Chung. And this one is Avril Lang. So, free to you.
Yeah.
Go out and check them out. Available in lots of sizes. Like this one goes all the way up to 58 inches.
At the bottom.
At the bottom, sorry.
54
inches up at the bust. And yeah, I liked, those were three of my favorites from the issue. There was a lot of pretty shawls as well.
I haven't been knitting a lot of shawls lately, but you know, my want to knit a Color Affection, and I have started the Eiffel Tower one, Dinner at the Eiffel Tower, but this one I thought would be really fun to make into a blanket, because it's a triangular shawl that's knit from the bottom point of it all the way up, and then it's just bound off. So you could reverse it and go back to the point, and then you would have a blanket. And it looks like a good size shawl the way she's got it wrapped around her. And so it would be a decent sized lap blanket. You know, cuddle with your honey. And I liked the lace pattern. I looked at it for quite a while just thinking, that looks really nice and simple. You know, like it looks like a good visual stunning thing, but when you get down to looking at how it's constructed, it looks nice and simple. Now I will say that I looked at this, and this is a chart only pattern. So if you're not very good at reading charts, you're not going to want to start with this one. But it does look like it's basic stitches. There's not going to be anything too confusing in it, but I did look real quick. It says work rows 1 through 60 of chart 1. So all the directions are right there in that teeny tiny space, because it says use chart 1 and chart 2, which are all full page charts. So it's chart heavy.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I actually prefer charts. If I get a heavily written one and it doesn't have charts, it really bugs me. There's a
For me, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh,
For me, it's easier to see where you are, like to read your knitting, because you can look like, okay, 2 rows down, I did a yarn over.
Right.
And to like align yourself, whereas like with words, that's harder for me.
Well, and it's fine, but some of the lace that I've been working lately is worked on both sides, right? So if you chart that, it looks wonky. It doesn't look readable. If you chart that, you know, on the reverse, you have to do this, and then when you read it and you look at it, you're like, okay, I got to read across this way, and then on the next row I have to read backwards, and then, you know, in order for it to look nice in the chart. Or it doesn't look nice in the chart, and you have to read it all from the same side. It gets very confusing.
It's funny that you should mention that, because the TARDIS had
charting?
Had that, well, like I said, it was for both sides, right? And then
so it had the back and forth, yeah.
Had the back and forth, and I got myself in trouble. This is the only, these cables are the only part that isn't reversible, really.
Right.
Right? So I got here, and I was actually still reading them from this direction,
to
and
read
I was
this
like,
way and then this way, because the numbers are on the side that you read from.
Yeah. So, lesson learned for me. Apparently, Amy already knew that well.
No, shot myself in the foot with that one before.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it was fairly easy to fix. You know, I ended up like tanking back a couple rows, which were like 200 stitch rows, which weren't fun, but at least, you know, lesson learned. Won't do it again. So, I think that's about it.
Yes.
Go out, buy yourself a whole bag if you want to. Thank you all for celebrating in our 1,000 zombie celebration, Palooza. Yeah. No parting words of wisdom?
None.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, Oofda.